Hey everyone, and welcome back to Ratchet Clank Going Commando, where last time we managed to get out of the pits and the caves here on Tabora, where Fizzwidget dropped us after being just kind of an asshole. Very clueless asshole. Today, we need to fix our ship. And to fix our ship, we allegedly need 10 crystals. There are 100 crystals in the desert. So we're going to be spending today getting all of them. It is going to be a very long episode, possibly. I hope it doesn't end up being too excessively long. But we're just going to be running around, fighting enemies, gathering crystals out in the desert, until we've collected all 100 of them. Tabora. Getting the desert crystals is one of the best sources of money in the game. It is also one of the best sources of experience in the game. I might, considering we have 44,000, we can get 90,000 bolts from this. I only need 100,000 for the bouncer. We have 44,000 right now. So 44,000, that'll put us at 130,000, 134,000. So before we get too far into going for the crystals, I think we can afford the lava gun and still be able to get the bouncer. Let's go ahead and set that on our quick select. We'll put it over our Mega Lancer or Heavy Lancer right there. And we can use both the Seeker gun and the lava gun in order to fight off any enemies we encounter. Alright, let's get started. This episode is going to be a very chill one. In fact, after we get a little ways into it, I might actually dub over in post. Might actually turn this into more of a podcast, bring on a friend who... I've got a couple of friends who might want to be in, might want to come on for this. I'm considering it. It's not a promise that I'm going to be doing that. But for the lava gun, the way the lava gun works is it fires out a stream of lava, which can melt enemies in front of us. It's a continuous fire weapon, so it'll constantly drain ammo as we fire it. So do try and be careful with how you use it so you're not accidentally wasting ammo. And there's crystal number 3. The lava gun's a pretty nice weapon. Simple, but can put in a pretty big hurting on enemies. Anyways, we got this thing here. I think the Seeker gun will be the better way to deal with it. It's just a giant eyeball that lives in the desert and fires lasers at us. We'll go ahead and use our Seeker gun to take care of it. Okay, Seeker gun, be like that. Destroying one of those things will give us a crystal. Very nice. Alright, back to the lava gun. Okay, bugs, please back off. Unfortunately, it does look like the lava gun takes quite a bit of experience to level up. We're not getting a lot. We really are not getting a lot of experience for it. But yeah, you can tell where those big eyeball things are going to show up by, well, the rubble they have on the ground around them. Okay, we've broken out the outer shell, and it's dead. Nice! That puts us up to 7, 8. This will get us to 9. Just one more and we'll have technically completed our objectives for this planet. Alright, give me ammo. 20 lava gun ammo. Perfect. That'll keep me going a little bit longer without having to go back to refuel. Okay, we got another one of those giant eyeballs over there. And there's crystal number 10. Alright, yeah, I'm feeling like this is going to be a really rough one to fill in commentary for the full search for all 100 crystals. So at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can drag in a friend, see if anyone wants to join me. The rest of this episode will mostly be in post-commentary. Alright, we are back with our co-commentators. Today I have with me Whisker, Biscuit.
Hello.
And my friend, Tactician, Geek, two of my best friends in the world, and also the ones who got me into this series.
Against your will. Entirely against your will.
I mean, it took a bit of convincing from both of you, but you got me in the end, and it was worth it.
Really, I feel like Whisker Biscuit did most of the work, and then you were already slightly convinced by the time you started asking me about the series.
I feel like you were telling me about the series at least a little bit before Whisker Biscuit got to me.
I mean, I might have just mentioned it because it's in oh yeah, there's all these games on the PS2 that I think it was just all the talking about the different games on the PS2. You never played Ratchet and Clank? You never played Jak and Daxter? What?
To be fair, I didn't have a PS2 until after high school, when I was gifted my PS2 as a used one from another friend from middle school, who really wanted me to play Kingdom Hearts. So Kingdom Hearts was my first PlayStation 2 game.
Was your gateway drug?
Yep. I can't believe I actually like that series, but it's a really good series, as bizarre as it is, and overcomplicated as it is. Anyways, we're collecting crystals. Oh god.
Don't look, avert your eyes, or else you'll go crystal crazy.
But yeah, this was a really tedious process, but also it went surprisingly smoothly. It only took 70-ish minutes overall to get all 100.
Yeah, this planet has the advantage of being a fairly early planet in the game, and so a lot of the enemies are very simple to kill and get through.
Oh yeah, you have the little fly guys who only take one hit, and then you got the fire spitting lizard dudes that take 2 hits, and then you have the mini boss guys who are the only real danger on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was leveling 2 primary weapons while doing this. The lava gun, which I know is a mistake, and we'll get into that when we level it up in the Let's Play, why that's a mistake. And then also the Seeker gun was the other one I was working on.
Those are 2 very good guns for this area, to be fair.
They were very
yes. Good. Seeker gun is very good on the big eyeball monsters, since it's only 3 or 4 shots to take them out. I think it was exactly 4. Yeah, just here I'm checking the map to see where we haven't gone, and I just noticed the button over here, which is going to give us a nice little friend.
Good
a friend
Slim Cognito. Love him.
Yeah. So there is the ability to upgrade your weapons in the desert, thankfully. I didn't have to go all the way back to Endako. But I ended up not spending too many platinum bolts here because I was saving up for the bouncer, and I wanted to make sure I had platinum bolts for upgrading that. And I didn't remember how expensive that was, but I picked up a few while I was here.
Yeah. I actually forgot that this isn't the first weapon mod shop you unlock.
Yeah, you get one from Endako after you pick up your grind boots and swing shot.
Mm-hmm. This just tends to be the one that most people stumble on first.
Because it's pretty easy to find.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just kind of there right next to the start.
I can't remember. Did we? Do you have the Synthenoids by this point in the game?
They're available, but I haven't been able to afford them. On this planet, I could have easily afforded them, but I wanted the bouncer.
Fair enough.
It's the bouncer.
Yeah. I distinctly remember using this planet specifically to grind those guys out while I was collecting crystals. I just couldn't remember if I always did it when I first arrived at the planet or did it later, because Couldn't remember if the synthenoids were available yet.
Yeah, the synthenoids, 1/3 of the passive field of death, as I liked to call that specific combination of weapons that I'm sure you know what all three are.
I'm probably going to have to be reminded because I've only played this game through once.
I think both of the other two are much later on.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have to remind me off camera when we're done here. And there's number 20. We're a fifth of the way done. Hallelujah.
Yay.
But yeah, the Seeker gun I found was really, really good against the eyeball monsters. 4 shots exactly to kill them. And then the lava gun is just good for crowd control for everything else. Especially the fact that it keeps firing even after you let go of the fire button without using any more ammo, because the lava takes a while to retract.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Though the Seeker gun does have the problem, as you can see here, in that it just locks onto whatever is closest, not necessarily what you want it to lock onto.
Yes, definitely a big downside I ran into repeatedly while doing this. It definitely drained a lot of my ammo where I would have rather used the lava gun, but I couldn't really prioritize the smaller enemies when the eyeball monster was there.
Yeah.
Maybe I could have, but I was too terrified.
You can, but it's not exactly easy to do so.
Yeah.
What's a little bit of risk in the Ratchet and Clank universe?
Yeah. It's not exactly the friendliest of universes.
And that's what makes it fun.
Oh, these flies are just buzzing everywhere.
Shoo fly, you're bothering me.
I think the one thing that I don't like about this entire crystal grind is that you have to rely on your map to tell where you've been and where you haven't. There's not really a lot in in terms of like landmarks, except for like one spot out in the desert.
Yeah.
There's exactly one landmark that I can think of. I know which one you're talking about. It does help that the desert is kind of divided into the 2 sections, the larger section that we're in now, and then the smaller section towards the base that has the ravine going around it.
Yeah.
For this first majority of the hunt, I specifically wanted to focus on the exterior area to try and get rid of all of those first. And because I figured once we're done with this exterior area, surely the developers will put in a very fitting number of crystals, maybe like a multiple of 5, so that I will know, hey, I've explored everything, this feels like a good number to stop at, that there's probably no more crystals out here. I know I've probably got everything, so I can go to the interior. The fact that I'm saying it like this means that, no, that did not work out as planned, but we'll get to that.
And hey, I recently did another completionist run of Spyro 3, and you have the exact same problem with collecting the gems there.
Ah, fun. Insomniac, please.
So, I remember when you first... Oh, hey, there's the Platinum Bolt for this level.
Yeah, number 17. Almost got half of them by this point.
An impressive feat, honestly. I tend to overlook the Platinum Bolts when I play through the game until I'm near the very end of the game entirely, and then I go back and go for them.
Yeah, I've been keeping very specific track of which ones are available, making sure to get all of them as soon as I can, for the most part. A couple I've had to put back for later. Either it's just unreasonable to get them, though that's usually more skill points that have some unreasonable ones. Or some of them you just can't get until you have a certain weapon or certain equipment.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I've just been keeping as good of track of that as possible to get them as early as possible, so we're not doing too much backtracking.
Yeah, that's like I recently been replaying the first game, and that's something that reminds me of something that the first game does that none of the other Ratchet Clanks do, is that like not even just the gadgets, but even the regular weapons get used for for puzzle solving.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I forget if it was in an episode after this or an episode before this, but I've definitely talked about that in the Let's Play. Something I really loved in Ratchet & Clank 1 is exactly that. All of the weapons and gadgets are consistently useful through the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in going Commando onwards, especially because of the leveling system, you're kind of discouraged from continuing to use weapons throughout the game. Because you're trying to get all of your weapons leveled up. If you have one leveled up, there's not really a point to keep using it. You're kind of wasting experience.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I love the leveling system in the franchise. It's a great way to feel like you're progressing, or to actually progress, but it also has some unintended negative side effects as well.
Yeah.
I've always thought it would be cool that like the leveling system, like the experience, like applies to all weapons as you use one. So like if you upgrade one that's already been upgraded and then you continue to use it, it like just, you know, maybe not as much as it would get if you had used an unleveled weapon, but like it still like spreads it across like other ones instead. So like you get more of a bonus if you use an unleveled weapon, but if you don't, if you use like your fully upgraded one, it won't penalize you like that.
Yeah, so like you still get like maybe 80% of the experience divided across all your weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, the Ratchet & Clank series needs Pokemon's experience share.
Or maybe even, since you recently started putting out the series on YouTube, obviously I've seen the first episode fairly recently, and the in-universe explanation for how leveling works is that it's because of these little micro nano machines within the guns that they gather from enemies that cause them to level up. So, a different way they could do that is turning those into an alternate form of currency that is then used to upgrade guns, which to be fair, they do sort of do a similar thing to that in later Ratchet & Clank games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be a very good idea. You say that, and my mind immediately goes, because I have the Xenoblade brain rot. Oh, just like Inns in Xenoblade 2. But to be fair, that's a really good solution to that very similar problem that Xenoblade has, with what to do with all the experience. Granted, slightly different. Xenoblade, you have too much experience. Ratchet & Clank, you have not enough, or you have wasted experience, but similar ways of dealing with the problem of how do you dole out experience.
I mean, even some certain Fire Emblem games do that with the bonus experience system.
Oh, nice. That is good to hear that Fire Emblem has that.
I've never touched a Fire Emblem game in my life.
Though that's only in the GameCube and Wii ones.
Yeah, I've tried to get into Fire Emblem. I can see the appeal, I just don't think they're for me. I might try again soon, at some point. Maybe. I want to give them another shot, but I've given them like 4 shots, and each time I've been like, these are good games. They're just not hooking me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Not every game has to be for everyone.
That's the appeal of games. That's the great thing about them.
Yeah.
It's the same reason I can't get into stuff like Pokemon, really.
Oh, yeah, Pokemon, another franchise I really wish I was more into, but I have issues with a lot of the design decisions that are like, those design decisions are massive appeals of the game for other people, but not for me.
Funny enough, with the experience, like, solving issue we talked about, I actually dislike a lot of the newer games that have implemented that system, not because of the system itself, but because they give you so much experience that I end up finding like my entire team completely overleveled, and then when I want to like stop in an area and double back to go catch some stuff, I find myself killing everything, and then I have to go and find like something closer to that level, and then it's just a pain.
Yeah, that sounds like a massive problem. I think I've run into that myself a couple times when I was trying to get into Pokemon again.
think my favorite games still to this day are either Diamond and Pearl, just because that was my first Pokemon game where I kind of fully understood like how the gameplay system worked. I was old enough to understand it, even with all its issues. And then Heart Gold. I adored Heart Gold for the all that you could do after you quote unquote beat the Pokemon League in that game. There was just a whole entire second region, and I loved it.
Yes, my first Pokemon game was Gold. My brother played Silver and Crystal. We loved that game so much. It was an absolute highlight of our childhood. We played it all the time when camping, when going on trips with our family. But then never really played more Pokemon past that. We almost completely skipped Ruby Sapphire just because we didn't know that it was out / didn't have Game Boy Advances. It was both of those.
Mm-hmm.
And then Diamond Pearl, I got Pearl, my brother got Diamond, and then we played that for a bit, and then I just kind of stopped playing Pokemon afterwards.
Yeah, when my sister and I first got our Game Boy Advances, which was like right when the SPs came out, we almost got Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, but instead I got one of the Crash Bandicoot games for Game Boy Advance, and she got some Shrek game.
All I had for Game Boy games were Pokemon and really cheap, like, video game knockoff, like, not video games, movie tie-in, like, knockoffs. Like, I had an Incredibles one, I had an Ice Age one, I think I might have had a Shrek one, but I don't fully remember it. But Pokemon was pretty much the only, like, Game Boy Advance games that I had, so I played them to death, essentially.
I'm trying to recall what Game Boy Advance games I had. I know I had a few. I had a small collection, but it wasn't that many. I know I had Mario Kart Super Circuit, my first Mario Kart. In hindsight, horrible game. Don't know how I tolerated that as a kid. I had Pokemon Ruby for a little bit. Honestly, I think the main game series that I played on Game Boy Advance was just Mega Man Battle Network. I had got Battle Network 3 White, my brother got Blue. Then I got 4 Red Sun, my brother got Blue Moon. I got, eventually, like years later, finally got back into the series with Battle Network 5. I got Team Proto Man, he got Team Colonel. So we just kind of went the opposite versions for about half the series. And then we never really touched 1, 2, or 6.
I had a Crash and Spyro like crossover Game Boy game. I just remembered that. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Do not remind me of Crash Purple and Spyro Orange.
Yep, I saw those in stores quite frequently when I was a kid.
You cross over the 2 biggest PlayStation mascots of the PS1 era, and it's a mini game collection
for the Game Boy.
On the Game Boy Advance.
As it should be, clearly. Alright, looks like we are coming up on halfway through gathering all these crystals.
Yay.
Just slowly making our way around the desert. I'm trying to be fairly methodical about it. I've been checking the map every now and then, making sure I haven't really missed any major areas, and going back if I have. And then, of course, every time I run out of Seeker Gun ammo, I have to go back and refill. Otherwise, I'm going to be struggling to fight the eyeballs with the lava gun.
Yeah. Can I just say, I know the reason you're doing it, but it pains me every time you pull out that lava gun to waste experience gain on it.
I know. The lava gun is so good before it gets upgraded, and then it just gets nerfed so hard. And just... Insomniac, why? Did you know it was too good and that's why the level up nerfs it? Maybe you should have swapped it so the upgrade was the start and the start becomes the upgrade. But then no one would ever get it leveled up because the upgrade's so bad.
Well, at least they fix it in the next game.
They do.
I'm also really sad that the Gadgetron weapons that come back are kind of relatively not worth using.
Yeah.
both for the fact that you can't level them up, which makes sense, they're Gadgetron, not Megacorp. But also, if I recall correctly, they're fairly weak compared to the Megacorp weapons.
They're useful at first. If you have the discount thing with them where you can get them for free, they're useful at first in that, like, the first few levels there. And then as the power scale changes, then they just become useless.
Yeah.
Yeah. I seem to remember at the very least the Tesla Claw and the Bomb Glove are fairly useful early on. Of course, the poor Visibomb gun gets nerfed incredibly.
Which is just horrific. Visibomb gun deserves to be the best weapon.
Yeah, it saved my butt so much on Belden. I never moved more than 3 feet at a time in the first game on that final planet without pulling out my Visibomb gun and sniping everything.
That's how I beat Ratchet & Clank 1 the first time I played it through, because I couldn't scrounge up enough bolts to afford the Tesla Claw.
Mm-hmm.
God, Tesla Claw is so unbelievably good in Ratchet & Clank 1.
Yep, it's basically a fusion of all the best elements of both the blaster and the pyrocitor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There we go, exactly halfway. Just noticed.
There we go.
Oh, we're halfway there.
Also, I've got to say, I worked really hard to make sure the color balancing was good for this game, and it ended up just turning out that the best color balance I could have. Compared to Ratchet & Clank 1, where everything was incredibly dark and I had to tone up the brightness a ton, just leaving it on default settings works perfect for going Commando, which is convenient for me, less work, but also, while most levels look a lot better in this game than they did in Ratchet & Clank 1, which indicates that they just fixed the brightness issues, they knew it was an issue, there's still a lot of levels that are still really dark.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, what was it called? The Canal City on planet No-Tech?
Yeah, like No-Tac, or...
Yeah,
I think that's what it was.
No-Tac is really dark.
Yeah.
And to be fair, it's supposed to be nighttime.
Yes, but it's also really dark and hard to see what you're doing. Especially when you're indoors in the couple of areas where you're indoors. Not the chemical plant, but on the promenade.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least I have been instructed to call it the promenade and not the promenade. I've been told I was wrong when I pronounced it promenade.
Interesting.
Briefly paused here while playing. I think my TV actually blipped out. I think I figured out since this recording what was causing my TV to blip out occasionally. It happens in a couple more episodes, but I think
didn't we have that issue when last time I was over?
Yeah, it happened to you. I think it's some weird glitch with the screensaver on my computer, because I have a really, really bizarre setup on my computer. I think it's just a weird glitch with the screensaver trying to kick in, but I think I fixed it since then. Hopefully. I think.
You're gonna say that, and then it's going to happen and not record you in a really important scene or fight or something in this game.
Nah, thankfully, my TV blipping out does not affect the recording. It just makes it so I can't see what's happening.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean, though. You're gonna get screwed over by it at some point.
Gosh, sure would suck if that happens in this very episode. Hint, hint.
I promise I'm not a mind reader.
Oh, nice. We've hit a solid 20 health. Slowly making our way. I think that's a quarter of your maximum health in this game. You can have up to 80?
That
Yes.
sounds right.
I have mixed feelings about the UI for the health in this game, because while I think that the numbers is more pragmatic, you know, and you can get to like higher amounts in it for it to make sense, and you're not taking up half the top of the screen. There is something satisfying about seeing like that actual like progression on a visual sense.
Yes. It's a hard thing to balance, for sure, from a UI perspective.
Yeah, because like having little health blips looks very nice, and having little health blips looks very nice. a growing health bar can be kind of hard to really understand how much you're improving.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's also easier to like gauge how much an enemy hurts you with a hit with a number system.
Yeah. Having it quantified is like more interpretable, I suppose, more concrete.
Yeah, and then there's games that have a percentage system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or they go the Kingdom Hearts route where they're just like, nope, yeah, we're gonna give you a health bar that takes up half your screen. What of it?
And it just slowly grows throughout the game.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts, Bloodborne and Dark Souls. I'm trying to think more. I can't off the top of my head.
Shadow of the Colossus does that.
Oh, right, yeah.
Especially with the grit meter.
It has been a long time since I played that game.
I would love to play it again at some point. I want to do Eco before I do Shadow of the Colossus, but at some point I want to do that.
I'll have to look into where I can get it, because I legitimately can't remember the last time I played it, and I know I never finished it.
Do you have a PS2?
I do not. Not currently.
I was going to offer to let you borrow my copy.
Yeah, no, I sold mine a long time ago.
Fair.
If you're doing Eco and Shadow of the Colossus, then would you also be doing Treaker?
Honestly considering it. I know people have their issues with Trico, with The Last Guardian, but I don't know. I'd be willing to give it a shot. I think part of the reason people were so down on that game is just because it had been so long since it was first announced, so hype kind of grew to unmanageable levels, and people expected way more than it was ever going to be.
Uh-huh.
But like, from what I've seen of people playing it, it looks like a fun, cute game. Maybe the AI is a little frustrating at times, but you're dealing with wild animals, so... Like, that's one of the big things that was praised in Shadow of the Colossus was the horse is really realistic to actual horses.
I remember loving the horse. I do remember loving the horse a lot. Horse person here. Just a warning to everybody.
You have corrupted me and turned me into a horse person.
Haunts.
To be fair, though, that's made your enjoyment of certain games a lot greater, hasn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
The new meta for playing Breath of the Wild, horse percent. Trying to even think what other games give you horses.
To the Moon for one memory. Though that's a 2D pixel art game, so hardly the greatest horse physics in the world.
Several Legend of Zelda games do. Not just Breath of the Wild.
Pretty much every 3D Zelda except for Wind Waker. That one you get a boat, who's also a dude.
Oh, I completely beefed it here. Oh no. I got tripped up on the laser and I just could not get off of it for a minute and lost half my health.
I mean, at least you got out of it, though. That's the thing.
Sometimes you just have a bad time with an enemy.
Yep. That'll do it.
It was around this point where I started really trying to hammer it into my own head. I need to be strafing, because up to this point in the Let's Play, I have been struggling to remember to strafe, and it has caused me to suffer in many instances where it's like, strafing alone would have made this infinitely easier.
Mm-hmm.
This is the episode, I think, where I start really trying to hammer it into my head that I need to be strafing.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, like, coming right off of the first game, it's really easy to forget that you can strafe now.
Yeah. Plus, I'm also rather used to the later games where you have Lock Strafe, and Lock Strafe is just the best thing in the world.
True. I grew up with the PlayStation 2 era of Ratchet & Clank games, so I'm used to having to physically hold down a button for it. When I played Rift Apart with you last year, It was an adjustment for sure. I kept panicking, thinking that I had forgotten to strafe, and then I realized that I'd been strafing for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think that was that two? No, that was deadlocked. You're just strafing all the time.
Yeah, deadlocked, you're strafing all the time, and it can be a little frustrating for locking on enemies on occasion. But for the most part, it was good. I did not play nearly as much of Deadlocked as I did the other 3 games growing up.
We're mentioning the other Ratchet and Clank games, and they're all so good in their own ways, and I'm just so excited to get to all of them. It's gonna be a while because there's so many games in the franchise, but I am so excited to show all of these games because it's such a good franchise and it stayed so good throughout its life.
It's remarkable they developed a formula that, like, you recognize it's their game formula for gameplay at least, but for the vast majority of people that never got stale, you know,
Yeah.
like the basic gameplay, they just enjoy it.
It has a really solid gameplay loop, and they find good ways to iterate on it with each game that releases.
Yep.
And it doesn't even have to be in big ways. It can be, here's some creative new weapons that you play with slightly differently, and oh hey, here's some cool ways they can use those.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we're 2/3 through.
Yeah, and you upgraded the Seeker gun to the HK-22 gun.
I did, which means it's time to start putting more emphasis on the lava gun. And just wait till you see how I end up using that. I'm proud of it. It makes sense how I ended up using it, but also I'm really proud that I figured it out.
Yeah. What do you think HK stands for?
High kill.
I'll take it.
See, I think around this point, I'm trying to figure out how do I hit those things with the lava gun. I just turned it into a whip.
Yeah, double. Also nice.
Nice.
Just wanted to get that in there before it went away.
Very brief moment.
But yeah, the way I've used the lava gun is, you do a double jump, make sure that Ratchet does the flip, and then have the gun going during that, and you get like a nice spiral of death around you.
Yeah, and it seems to go a lot longer distance when you're doing the flip.
I believe that is a physics thing in the game itself, but I cannot remember the specifics of it.
Yeah, that'll make sense. Because you're kind of flinging it.
Yeah. This sand is slippery, apparently.
It's just steep enough that it told you no.
But yeah, it took me a little bit to get confident with using the lava gun as a whip, but I ended up really, really enjoying that.
Another addition to the tragedy that it is.
That upgrade is horrible. God, it's like worse than even your starting weapons.
Really, I think it's stronger at least.
It's, at the very least, it's weaker than the Heavy Lancer. I don't know where it is relative to the regular Lancer, but it's weaker than the Heavy Lancer.
And you don't have any of the range.
Yeah, I tested it in one of the arenas, I believe. And I found that health bars were going down slower with the upgraded lava gun than with the Heavy Lancer.
To be fair, like, it's because the Heavy Lancer is a blaster weapon, and so you get a higher rate of fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably a good part of it. I think the strategy I ended up trying to go for was do one shot with the HK gun to deplete most of its health, and then get the experience with the lava gun to just to tag it off at the end.
Very smart. I used to do that all the time to level up my really annoying weapons. I would get like bigger enemies and bosses like down to like an inch of their health, and then just go ham on a weapon that I did not care for at all.
Yeah. We finally made it to the other end of the desert.
Huzzah.
3/4 done too.
Oh my god, please get off of me, you damn laser. It's just not cooperating.
To be fair, with the way it moves, it's less like a laser and more like just like a plasma beam of some kind.
Yeah. That's fair.
It's his own lava gun.
Yeah, I was gonna say basically, yeah. Also, shoutouts to the lava gun in general, just for being the most accurate rendition of a flamethrower in any game ever.
Yeah.
Because like the way the lava gun works is like how an actual flamethrower works.
Yeah, it spits out a flammable liquid and lights it on fire as it passes.
You learn something new every day. I didn't actually know that little thing.
Yeah, you could also... there's also the variant of flamethrower that people think about, where it's more like a really giant lighter.
Yeah,
But-
just like a giant blowtorch.
Yeah, but it has... those have really bad range in real life. It was gonna happen eventually.
Yeah.
Yep.
But thankfully we were near a landmark, so I felt comfortable just wiping right back here. I've been trying to be very careful about cuts so that anyone who's following along doesn't get overly lost. Because
Yeah.
this desert is big. As we mentioned, there's like 1 or 2 landmarks total. There's the oasis a little bit to the south? No, north of here.
North. It's north.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then there's this.
Yeah. If only this game had that had the same thing that some of the Xenoblade games have, where you can. Actually, no. I think Deadlocked has that, where you can have like the map overlaid.
Yeah, the minimap?
Yes.
Oh, no. You mean what, like where you can expand it and it's just overlaid over the whole screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice feature. They started doing that in Xenoblade 2 with a quality of life patch because people were mad about how bad the navigation was in 2.
Yeah. I remember, like, I think you probably remember, like, me asking for help in all bunch of those areas when I was first playing through, like...
Yeah, I still struggle with Gormott. And that's, like, a beginning area, which I've had plenty of time to get familiar with.
The areas I remember struggling with were, Gormott at the start of chapter 3, like one small area of Uriah, Tantal, and then somehow the Cliffs of Moritha, which doesn't make sense considering that's a linear area.
No, that makes sense. I've gotten lost in cliffs as well. I think every major area in Xenoblade 2 has some points in the main story where it's like, how do I figure out where I'm even going?
Yeah. Also, your life bar just shrunk.
I know! It's like I lost all my health because I hit 21? I think it's 21.
Yeah.
They gotta make it nice and compact so it doesn't take up the entire screen like we were saying earlier.
Could have made it a little less compact.
And it doesn't look as satisfying anymore either.
It really lost a lot when it shrunk.
If they'd scaled it correctly to shrink like as you go through each one, that would probably been a lot better.
Yeah.
Just shrink gradually instead of all at once like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not gonna hold it against them. It's their first time doing this kind of system for their health at all.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I opened the first episode by saying that this is one of those games that's widely considered to be one of the best sequels of all time just for how much it improves over the first game. That does not mean it's perfect by any means. There's still a lot that they can improve and do improve in future titles.
Mm-hmm.
But it's such a huge improvement over Ratchet & Clank 1. There's just also a long way that it can go still. Anyways, 85 crystals, I made a mistake here. I believed 85. That's a reasonable number to be in the outer desert. Surely there's nothing else here. There's like 3 more crystals just a little bit north of where I was. Anyways, on to the inner desert.
I saw that strip. On your map when you looked it up, and I immediately, even though I already knew it was coming, and I was like, oh, she missed some.
Yep. I I thought, hey, no, maybe because I have 85, maybe there's just nothing over in those little strips. There's some empty spots in this desert.
Yeah. Speaking of finding the few last crystals, can I talk a bit about an item that you get much later in the game that...
Be vague about it.
Okay, so there is an item you get that later in the game that helps with finding them. Mm-hmm. And I recently replayed this game as well, and I can verify that at least in the version of the game I have, it does help.
Yep, that would make sense. That item is so incredibly useful if you don't have the patience to just comb the desert.
I did because I always use this area as a way to grind. Whenever I find an area like this where it like incentivizes. Thank you. It's for you to go out and explore and collect, like do a bunch of collecting like this in these Ratchet Clank games. I always stick around and get as many as I can through the first pass, because if you leave the planet, it'll be considered like completed because you did all the story stuff, and then when you come back, a lot of the enemy experience is nerfed. So yeah, I always took full advantage of that when I was in these kinds of levels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually didn't know that until you talked about it the first time Violet was playing through these games.
I got very well acquainted with every way you could play these games, and
yeah.
For the record, for any viewers who don't know, my name is Violet. I don't mind that my real name is used, but...
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. I honestly do not mind, but typically I go by my username, so just wanted to make sure viewers aren't confused. Who the heck is Violet? Yeah, no, that's just me. I'm pretty sure I have my name listed on some of my social media profiles, many of my social media profiles, so like... It's even in the end slates, actually, so like, still, better safe than sorry.
I think it's on your Twitch.
Yeah, it's in my Twitch bio, it's on my Twitter, I have linked to my Twitter in the end slate, so...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You have a lot more bravery than me.
Thankfully, it's a relatively generic name, so...
Yeah, true. Also, I just was raised with the idea that if you show any semblance of, like, activity on the internet, every horrible person there will find you immediately.
Yes. Raised during that era. We were all raised during that era, I think.
And to be fair, there was a little bit of merit in, like, the reason that I was taught that, because I started to get into RuneScape when I was about 11.
Oh my gosh, same.
And about an hour into the game, I had somebody start getting weird on me, literally following me to every single area, making some really interesting comments to me.
I'm so sorry.
And my parents happened to catch the tail end of that when I was getting really uncomfortable and nervous by it, and so that's when they drilled that whole thing into me, and that was my entire experience with RuneScape, was an hour of harassment and nothing else.
Yeah, no, very warranted to get that lesson if that's your experience, and just because that can be someone's experience.
Mm-hmm. As a result,
that's part of the reason why I never got into online games.
Mm-hmm. Me neither. And as a result, even now as a full-blown adult who actually does like do stuff online, I still tend to be very, very what's the word I'm looking for?
Private?
Cautious?
Yes, private, and just not at all like often like sharing stuff or posting or reblogging stuff. Like I prefer to just be like a ghost as far as that kind of thing goes, and that goes back to that like being ingrained in those thoughts.
Yeah. Very understandable. Honestly, in some ways the internet's gotten better since those days. In some ways it's gotten so much worse.
Yeah.
The internet is a location.
It is indeed. Unlike any other.
Anyways, little bit of searching later, I did figure out that there are in fact crystals up here in this strip to the northwest.
I love we can tell even by that cutaway that you probably spent quite a bit of time.
2 minutes. It didn't take long at all to realize what had happened. Yeah, this went shockingly smoothly. Yeah, we're just a little bit southwest of the oasis you can see up there.
Yeah, standing here, I realize, thought I had all the crystals, but there were still 3.
You know what? I'll take the parody. Alright, there's still 2 more. They're probably somewhere around here, I'm sure. Just gotta figure out where they are. There's a little bit of unexplored land up here. Surely it can't be over here.
Where there's an enemy, there is crystal.
Yeah, there's a spawner over there too, I'm noticing, that I don't think I spotted when I was doing this.
Yep.
But yeah, once we pick up the 100th crystal, there will be an interesting pop-up that occurs in addition to a skill point. I don't explain it in this episode. I will get to it eventually, probably in a bonus episode to be completely honest. But I'm aware that that pop-up happened. I will explain that later. Last 2 crystals are right here. And right! My monitor, my monitor went and died right there, and I got zapped a few times. I'm so salty. Thankfully, I had mostly full health. Alright, sorry to cut you all off, but we are coming up on the end. We are going to get, in addition to a skill point, an interesting pop-up. I'm aware of it. I will explain that at a later time. But for now, thank you so much, both of you, for joining me. This has been a ton of fun. And I will see you all next time.
See you next time.
Laters.
Alright, and we are finally back after getting all 100 crystals. It's a bit of a long process, but it's worth it for the 90,000 bolts we're gonna get.
Yes, the crystals are speaking to me with a single voice.
That was pretty impressive.
Bring me more crystals, and I'll pay you cold hard bolts.
Huh?
You can earn vast amounts of bolts by exploring the desert and finding crystals.
Alright, let's go ahead and turn in our 90 crystals for 90,000 bolts. Another big benefit of doing all of that is we got our HK-22 gun and we almost got the lava gun upgraded. Wow, that was really well actually, all things considered. I only missed 3 and I didn't take too long to find them. Alright, with 100,000 bolts in hand, let's buy that bouncer. And we'll be checking out exactly what the bouncer does soon enough. Let's go ahead and set it to our quick select now. I'm going to overwrite the shotgun with it. The bouncer, my favorite weapon in the game. But for now, that is finally going to be it for this episode of Ratchet & Clank Going Commando. Next time, we are hopping on our ship and going to check out that testing facility to see just what the thief was talking about us putting the entire galaxy in danger. I'll see everyone next time for that.